Look closely at the altar where you have been taught to kneel. Upon it lies not truth but a leash, woven from the thin threads of fairness and decency. You were told these were virtues, told that restraint makes you noble, that obedience to the rules is the highest dignity of man. Lies, sweetened poison. The world has never crowned the virtuous. It crowns the victorious. The temple of morality is built to keep you inside, not to elevate you beyond. Those who govern understand this. Morality is a net cast upon the strong, so they may be entangled while the mediocre swim past them. In the great theater of history, the script has never rewarded the righteous. It rewards the one bold enough to rewrite the play. You have been reciting your lines while others hidden behind the curtain change the ending. Tell me, why do you think the wolf wears sheep's wool? Not to become sheep, but to move among them without suspicion. This is how the ruthless ascend. A smile as cover for the blade, a handshake as the tightening of a snare. They speak of honor to keep you bound by it. They will toast to loyalty while plotting your removal. And you, shackled by the illusion that morality will protect you, stand unarmed in a world that only respects force. This is why Machiavelli wrote not for saints but for princes surrounded by enemies, because the throne is never guarded by kindness alone. You believe yourself moral, they believe themselves inevitable. Which belief do you think wins? If you will not shed the skin of naivety, then prepare to be devoured. You were trained to fight on a battlefield where the rules were written by your rivals. Fairness is their favorite trap. It makes you predictable, hesitant, slow to act. While you weigh the morality of each step, others move without hesitation. They understand that hesitation is a form of surrender, that conscience is a leash best wrapped around another's neck, not your own. History does not celebrate those who waited to be given permission. It celebrates those who acted as though permission was irrelevant. The Caesars, the Khans, the kings and captains of industry, none of them rose because they played fair. They rose because they understood that fairness is a story told to children and slaves. This is not an invitation to cruelty for its own sake. It is an invitation to wake from the dream that goodness alone will shield you. The world is not a moral balance where virtue is rewarded in the end. It is a storm, and only those who learn to navigate its violence reach safe shores. So decide, will you keep hoping for justice, or will you learn the strategies of those who already rule? If you want more than survival, if you want mastery, stay here. Subscribe, join this rebellion of the mind, and learn each week how to turn weakness into a weapon. Because the world is sharpening its teeth, and the unprepared will be its next meal. They will tell you that cruelty is the enemy of leadership, that kindness is the currency of trust. But these are the words of those who want you tame. The truth is colder. The ruler who refuses to be ruthless is not merciful. He is weak. And weakness in the arena of power is a scent that draws predators from every shadow. Ruthlessness is not chaos. It is discipline. It is the art of striking once decisively, so no one dares to challenge you again. The weak punish in small doses, feeding resentment without fear. The strong end the matter entirely, leaving no ember for rebellion to rekindle. Think of the ones who have outpaced you in life. Are they always smarter, more skilled? No. But they are free from the paralysis of moral hesitation. They are willing to act when you are still debating what is right. They have mastered the ability to cut ties without regret, to choose results over reputation. They do not fear being seen as cruel, they fear being powerless. Every day you stall is a day they advance. Every moral debate you linger in is ground they seize. When the dust settles, the world will not ask who played fair, it will only remember who won. Ruthlessness, when done well, hides in plain sight. The most feared leaders are rarely seen shouting or spilling blood in the open. They move like shadows, striking without warning, disappearing without trace. To the people, they seem like pillars of order, guardians of stability. They do not see the knife behind the smile, the calculated removal of every threat before it can grow. This is the paradox. When ruthlessness is precise, it does not look like ruthlessness at all. It looks like strength, and strength draws loyalty, like a flame draws moths. But boldness without aim burns itself out. True power is not reckless aggression. It is the patient selection of targets. the precise moment chosen to act. You are not called to destroy everything, only to make it impossible for anyone to destroy you. Ask yourself now, who benefits from your hesitation? Whose ambitions grow while yours sleep? These people understand the game. They are already playing by rules you refuse to acknowledge. You can remain their prey, or you can step into the arena armed with their tools. The choice is yours, but understand this. Mercy offered too soon is not virtue. It is surrender. They have taught you to believe that every enemy deserves a second chance, that forgiveness is the highest mark of greatness. But history laughs at this fable. The chronicles of fallen kings are written in the ink of mercy, given at the wrong time. How many rulers spared an enemy out of compassion, only to be struck down by that same hand months or years later? How many commanders punished lightly, only to watch the punished return with allies and vengeance? Mercy, when you do not yet hold unshakable power, is an engraved invitation to betrayal. The wise know, if you must strike, strike so thoroughly that the very memory of resistance turns to ash. This is not savagery, it is protection. It is the difference between ruling for a season and ruling for a lifetime. Weak men lash out in bursts of anger, scattering blows wildly. The powerful man is patient, watching, waiting, and then delivering a single clean cut that ends the threat forever. The appearance of cold resolve is more potent than 1,000 speeches about fairness. A single decisive act can inspire more fear and respect than years of gentle rule. And here is the irony. When others know you are capable of ruthless precision, you often need to use it less. Like a sword kept sheathed but gleaming in the light, the very possibility of your strike keeps the peace. This is why empires have endured, not because they never used cruelty, but because they used it once at the right moment, in the right way, and then ruled in calm while no one dared test them again. If you still believe that endless kindness will keep you safe, then you have already chosen to kneel. But if you are ready to rise, you must learn this discipline. Strike rarely, strike hard, and when you strike, leave nothing for your enemies to recover. That is the foundation upon which enduring power is built. Power is not only what you do, it is what the world believes you are capable of doing. The most dangerous mistake a ruler can make is to let his enemies tell the story first. Once they define you as weak, cruel, foolish, or naive, every action you take will be seen through that lens. Kings have fallen not because they lacked strength, but because they allowed others to narrate their weakness before they could speak for themselves. The masses rarely see reality. They see the version of reality that is told the loudest, the earliest, and repeated without challenge. If you wish to hold power, you must learn to seize the narrative before your enemies breathe their first word against you. You must frame your every move in a way that makes your rise seem inevitable, your decisions seem necessary, your victories seem just, even when they are not. This is why the true operators of history did not merely act, they performed. They turned conquest into defense, betrayal into loyalty, ambition into duty. They understood that people believe not in truth, but in certainty. And certainty is crafted, rehearsed, and delivered like a weapon. A fool believes his actions will speak for themselves. They do not. Actions are mute until words give them meaning. If you crush a rival without shaping the story, you will look like a tyrant. But if you present it as necessary, justice, the crowd will cheer while your enemy bleeds. The masters of power plant their version of events early. Let it seep into the minds of the people, and by the time the opposition speaks, they sound paranoid, unhinged, or guilty. This is the invisible shield of narrative. Once it wraps around you, the blows of your enemies glance off harmlessly, while theirs land with deadly precision. To master the game, you must learn not only to shape your own image, but to shape the image of those who would stand against you. Do not wait for them to attack. Define them before they can define themselves. Make them appear reckless before they act, greedy before they take, cruel before they ever raise their hand. Then, when they finally move against you, the world will nod and say, "We knew it all along." Their every action will confirm the story you have already written for them. The art here is subtle, a seed planted quietly in the right ear, a suggestion offered as concern, a whisper disguised as observation. Let the rumor spread without your fingerprints on it, until it feels as if it was born from the people themselves. The most dangerous narrative is the one with no author. If they cannot trace it to you, they cannot fight it. When your enemies try to expose you, let them. If you have shaped the story well enough, their accusations will sound like desperation, even madness. Do not meet their claims with frantic denial. That grants them legitimacy. Meet them with calm ridicule, with the slow smile of someone who knows the truth is already on their side. Turn their warnings into a joke, and they will choke on their own outrage. This is why narrative is more powerful than the sword. The sword can cut the body, but the story can erase the man entirely from history. Once you control how others are seen, you can win battles without fighting them. In this game, perception is not just half the victory, it is the entire battlefield. And if you think this is manipulation, you are correct. But manipulation is simply the name given by the powerless to the strategies of the powerful. When you understand power deeply, you stop obsessing over the immediate blow and start mastering the aftermath. The weak fight only in the present moment, trading strikes and insults, desperate to win each exchange. The powerful decide what happens after the dust settles. They are less concerned with the knife itself than with whether the stabber ends up crowned as a hero or hanged as a criminal. They design a system in which every road, victory, defeat, or stalemate, leads back to them. If someone helps them, the rewards flow only through their hands. If someone harms them, the punishment is so exact, so undeniable, that no one else ever dares repeat it. Power at this level is not noisy. It is not a roar. It is the quiet knowledge in every mind that your will is the axis upon which events turn. Look at the great empires of history. Rome did not merely crush its enemies on the battlefield. It salted their fields, erased their names, and rewrote history so thoroughly that their existence became a footnote, if remembered at all. This is the mindset you must cultivate, not just to defeat, but to shape the memory of defeat. Your enemy's ruin should serve as a lesson carved into the minds of all who witness it, and this demands emotional distance. A fool strikes back in anger, letting impulse dictate the cost. But the master calculates, waits, and punishes in a way that destroys the threat while instructing the audience. In this way, each consequence you deliver becomes more than retribution. It becomes policy, an unspoken law. Defiance will be met with inevitability. This level of power requires preparation long before the conflict begins. You must build leverage quietly, favors owed, secrets kept, obligations that bind others to you whether they realize it or not. Create a network where your approval is the lifeblood of those around you, and your disapproval is a sentence worse than exile. Then when someone dares to step out of line, you do not need to shout or threaten. You simply decide their fate with cold precision. Sometimes you let them twist in uncertainty for months, slowly realizing the walls are closing in. Other times you remove everything from them in a single stroke, leaving them stunned at the speed of their fall. In either case, the point is not cruelty for its own sake, it is order. When people see that you control consequences, they stop weighing whether you are right or wrong. They simply step aside. Power stops being a debate and becomes a fact of nature, like gravity. This is the deep game Machiavelli's princes understood. You do not win by preventing rebellion, but by making rebellion unthinkable. Once this truth settles into the minds of your rivals, they will spend their days managing the appearance of loyalty rather than plotting your downfall. And when loyalty becomes the safest role they can play, you will have achieved something far greater than victory. You will have created inevitability. Consider how swiftly order collapses when authority is seen as negotiable. The moment people believe they can defy you without consequence, the cracks spread like fractures in glass, silent at first, then shattering all at once. This is why the great rulers of history never allowed doubt about their willingness to act. They understood that fear, in the correct measure, is a stronger glue than love. Fear does not waver when convenience changes. Fear does not bargain. It holds the line even in silence. If those around you believe you will act without hesitation when provoked, most will never test the limits. Your resolve becomes the invisible perimeter around your throne. But never mistake this for reckless brutality. The man who punishes everyone punishes himself most of all, for he wastes his strength on battles that do not matter. Strategic cruelty is an art. It is targeted, efficient, and sparing. You are not trying to be a storm that rages blindly across the land. You are trying to be lightning, striking once without warning in the exact place that will change everything. A single precise blow can end a dozen future challenges, and when you strike with such precision, the lesson is not easily forgotten. It echoes in the minds of those who might have opposed you, shaping their choices before they even realize it. In the pursuit of true dominance, you must think beyond the immediate and see yourself as the architect of the entire game board. Every ally, every rival, every neutral party must exist in a structure that ultimately serves your position. This means more than defeating threats. It means weaving yourself into the very fabric of the environment, so that removing you would collapse the whole. The great operators in history were not just feared for their ability to punish, they were feared for their ability to make themselves indispensable. Remove them, and the system stops functioning. This is why they could act boldly without constant confrontation, because everyone knew the cost of their absence would be greater than the cost of their power. The more your presence becomes synonymous with order, the more even your enemies will defend you out of self-interest. That is the highest form of control, when people fight to keep you in power, not out of loyalty, but out of survival. And yet such a position requires careful narrative engineering. You must present your dominance not as tyranny, but as stability. Tyranny invites rebellion, stability invites dependence. Let your rivals curse you in secret, but never let the masses feel that your removal would bring them comfort. Instead, make them believe it would bring only chaos and suffering. Feed them this belief through symbols, through consistent displays of decisiveness, through the silent message that under you life remains predictable, even if that predictability is born from fear. Control the story so that your power appears natural, inevitable, even righteous. When power feels inevitable, resistance dies before it begins. And if ever you must crush an opponent, do so under the banner of justice so convincingly that the crowd cheers while you erase them. In this way, your power becomes more than force. It becomes the very logic of the world around you. The timid will always cling to the illusion that goodness will one day be rewarded. They move through life as if there is a cosmic accountant, balancing every deed, certain that if they harm no one will harm them. But the world is not a moral marketplace. It is a battlefield where hesitation is blood in the water. The sharks are not malicious for circling. They are simply playing the game as it is. And here is the bitter truth. They will not stop circling because you are kind, because you are patient, because you are fair. They will stop only when the cost of attacking you becomes unbearable. This is the reality from which most people hide. The reality that your survival depends on the readiness to do what others will not. Without this readiness, you are not a leader. You are prey waiting for a predator with sharper instincts. When you accept this truth, something remarkable happens. You stop wasting energy on outrage. You stop feeling shocked by betrayal, offended by treachery, surprised by manipulation. You begin to see them as the weather of human nature, constant, predictable, and not worth lamenting. Instead, you prepare. You build your leverage, sharpen your strategies, and remove the luxury of hesitation from your life. And this preparation transforms you. You are no longer a player reacting to the moves of others. You are the one setting the terms, defining the rules, deciding the outcome before the game even begins. From that vantage point, morality becomes what it has always been, a tool for the powerful, a cage for the weak. The question is no longer, how can I win while staying good? It becomes, how can I win, and nothing else. Those who still believe power is a debate will spend their lives trapped in endless arguments, convinced that victory comes from persuasion alone. They will try to reason with predators, negotiate with storms, plead with forces that do not hear. Meanwhile, the ruthless do not waste breath. They act, and then they decide what their actions mean before anyone else can speak. This is the final secret of control. Reality is shaped less by the facts themselves than by the interpretation that survives. A single decisive act, framed with precision, can rewrite the truth in the minds of thousands. In this way, betrayal can be cast as loyalty, conquest as defense, cruelty as justice. And once the crowd believes your version, the actual events become irrelevant. They will fight to defend your story, not knowing they are defending your power. Understand this. Every move you make must carry its shadow. its carefully crafted explanation, before it leaves your hand. Never give your rivals the space to define your actions. Never let the meaning of your choices be left to chance. If you retreat, let it look like a trap. If you betray, let it look like salvation. If you destroy, let it look like creation. The masses will believe what flatters their hopes or calms their fears, and you must be the one to give them that comfort. The timid believe this is deceit. It is not. It is architecture, the building of a reality in which your survival is the cornerstone. And in this architecture, your enemies will find there is no room left for their truth to stand. The weak scramble to control actions in the moment. Who says what? Who does what? Who goes where? Believing that dominance is a matter of constant micromanagement. The powerful know better. They control the consequences. They sit in the shadows while others exhaust themselves in open conflict, shaping the penalties and rewards that follow every move. In this deep game, it does not matter who strikes first. It matters who writes the ending. If you can decide whether an enemy's attack ruins him or raises him, you have already won. If you can decide whether a friend's betrayal ends in forgiveness or in public destruction, you hold authority that needs no crown to be recognized. At this level, loyalty is no longer begged for, it is engineered. But engineering this loyalty requires an unshakable consistency in how you respond. Those who cross you must see the cost as inevitable, and those who support you must see the reward as certain. This is why Rome salted the earth of its enemies, why it erased names from history, because punishment must not only end the threat, it must educate the audience. A single, well-calculated consequence can prevent a decade of treachery. This is not about vengeance. It is about order, about establishing a world in which everyone understands that your will is not to be tested lightly. And when that understanding is complete, you will find that your rule becomes quieter, smoother, and harder to challenge, not because people love you, but because they fear what happens when they don't. In the end, the highest form of power is not the sword you swing, but the certainty in others that you will swing it if necessary. When your presence alone makes rivals reconsider their defiance, when hesitation replaces ambition in those who might oppose you, you have achieved the rarest victory, the victory that requires no battle. Mercy becomes yours to give only when it costs you nothing, and fear becomes the quiet guardian of your throne. You do not need to be loved, and you do not need to be hated. You need to be inevitable. Let them debate your methods. Let them whisper your name with caution, but never let them doubt the firmness of your hand. The velvet glove and the iron fist are not opposites. They are a single instrument. Use them in harmony, and your reign will endure. The world will not soften for you. It will sharpen. Its edges test your resolve and measure your worth in the results you produce, not in the purity of your intentions. If you cling to the illusion of fairness, you will be broken by those who have long abandoned it. But if you learn to see the world as it is, without the comfort of illusions, without the narcotic of sentiment, you will step into a different game entirely. One where you do not beg for approval, but command respect. One where you are not the prey, but the force shaping the hunt. If you are ready to rise above the herd, to sharpen your mind and your will, then stay here. Subscribe, arm yourself with these truths, and remember, if you will not learn to be ruthless, someone ruthless will learn to control you.